Yeah, stop the press. All right, looks like we're going
Stop
live.
press.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and get the thing ready to play here. Here we go. We'll get the hello, everybody. It's November 7th, 2017, and this is episode 27.
That works out well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's almost as if we planned it there.
Yeah.
But episode 27 of AWT TV. I'm with Mr. Marty Edwards over here. He was waving at us. And Marty, I understand that you went out of your way after returning an Apple TV 4K that you got it back again.
I did. I had a change of heart. And I guess I ought to at least tell why, but I've never regretted it even once. I decided I wanted it because I was actually sharing a lot of things to a large screen from my phone wanting to, and it's just such an easy way to share. I actually am not a very big TV watcher, but I love sending things to it from the phone, pictures and various things. And the Apple TV was just such an easy way to do it. Matter of fact, I'm sending this photo right now. That's a photo I downloaded of the Apple logo. Doesn't mean much on this, but if I send photos, say from Chromecast over there, I can't zoom in. But with Apple TV, look at that. I can zoom in, move around, whatever I want to do. I can't do that without the Apple TV. So I can really do some good slideshows. I'm often wanting to share things with my wife, wanted to share some web pages with her. So instead of holding the phone and saying, look, I just put it up on the large screen and we both watch it. My biggest problem was, as I've told you, they resample videos. And, sometimes it made it look fuzzy and not good. But the next version of Apple TV software has rectified that. They will re-show in native now and not resample. So that was a real problem that a lot of pundits, not me, I did write about it, but I mean people that, were well known and video files, they wrote that it did cause some issues with the quality. So Apple has rectified that. It will show in the native format, so it should be a done thing now. And I absolutely love the way the ESPN app works on here. You load it up and you can watch
those
4 streams at once, different ball games. Not that I've ever had need for that. It's a little bit overkill. I love the way the YouTube app works on it. I won't try to demo it now. Some night I may give a demo of the Apple TV. But the YouTube app, you can press on the trackpad on the remote and scrub through the video, but it shows, a screenshot a little of where you're at in the scrubbing, whereas I couldn't do that without the Apple TV. It just looks really nice. And they have absolutely stunning screensavers on the Apple TV. They're beautiful. I read one guy said it's well worth the money just for the screensavers.
Oh, I saw the screensaver of Dubai.
Dubai is my favorite. It's beautiful, the night one.
Does that place look like something out of
a sci-fi movie?
A sci-fi movie.
It looks like a futuristic sci-fi. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, go to YouTube and just look up Apple TV screensavers. There's one of Dubai at night where they do a slow, I guess it's a drone flying through and they've slowed it down. And it's 4K and it's absolutely stunning. It's like something out of a movie, a futuristic movie. And so it's beautiful. But I never regret it. I went to buy the Apple TV again. I was going to order it, and I went to the Apple app on the phone to order it, and it said 4 to 5 weeks. And so I checked my quote local store, which is about 75 miles away. They had it in stock, so I ordered it there and just went in and picked it up.
Good
And
move.
yeah, I have no regret whatsoever getting it back, because the one issue I had, they have fixed well in a future, the next update. And so and I had to admit, there's some pretty good apps on there. There's some pretty good games I can play. They have a bowling game that you actually have to move the remote like you would a bowling ball. And, you actually bowl. That game's fun, but it requires some physical exertion. I don't have
Yeah.
a lot of room to bowl in the office here. But, that one game they demoed, I think it's called Sky, is coming out. It's only going to be available on Apple TV. So, really, though, my big use is just sending the iPhone screen over to it, or the Mac screen. I use that far, far more than I realize. And one little tip I learned: I do not keep Wi-Fi turned on my Mac because I'm hooked to Ethernet. I don't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on the Mac. I just keep them off because I don't need them. I don't have any Bluetooth accessories. And so I thought, well, I can't screencast to the Apple TV without Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on. I was mistaken. Uh,
Huh.
with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth off, I just send the screen of the Mac. I've got two screens here over to the Apple TV, and it backfeeds it through Ethernet. It does not use Wi-Fi or
Huh.
Bluetooth, which makes it much more reliable. As you well know,
And
being
faster.
an old tech guy, it's far better to use wired anytime you can instead of wireless. And so I was really pleased with that. I can send both screens or one, and it truly just works. I really, really like the Apple TV and have no regrets rebuying it all. I, I need to apologize to Apple for returning it, but I'm really glad. I had a change of heart, and it's going to keep a place within the house here. You probably can't see it's on the second shelf below that big red apple, but it's there. So
Well, with a week and let's see, 2 days until my wife's retirement, like I said, we're seriously looking at ways that we can kind of cut our expenses, because we want to be able to do a lot more traveling and things like that. And of course, one of our big expenses every month is that Comcast bill, which is mainly for all of the video channels that we don't watch. And we've talked about it, we've joked about it. I'm about that far away from buying an Apple TV 4K, even though we don't have a 4K TV. Eventually, we probably will. But getting that and a whatever the heck they call those doggone things, but HD TV or digital TV antenna that I can just slap on the wall behind the TV. And, from what I can see, that's going to get us a lot of what we currently watch. We do watch a lot of baseball during the baseball season. They will not show our local channel, which is AT&T Sportsnet. They won't show that. I'm absolutely sure they won't show that. But the one thing that we can get is MLB TV. And I'm thinking most likely that we'll just get ourselves an annual subscription to that, and then we can watch it on there. So it'll be fun to have some cord cutting stories here. You've kind of been a good cord cutting resource for me, both you and Dennis. So I'll
yeah,
have to
we dropped
tell me.
cable in 2010, and I've never looked back. Um, in a way, we sort of quasi got it back because my mother now lives with us, and she has cable service that we had transferred here, so we can watch. But I never watch anyway. I've just there's really
Yeah.
no interest. I'll sometime maybe try to get on here, but the Major League Baseball app is great on the Apple TV. There's a native app, and it shows all the scores. You can watch two games side by side. It's really neat
Oof.
when you highlight one, the audio switches to that one, and you can do alerts like if there's a no hitter or something going on, it will, alert you. But the Major League Baseball app on Apple TV is very well done. Of course, you have to have a
Nice.
subscription. It's I think 120 a year if you want every game except
Yeah.
your local markets. You know how the
Yeah, and
blackout
even
rules
there,
work.
from what I understand, I guess you can watch the out of town feed
Oh yes,
for a
and
game.
yeah, if I'm trying to think if the Rockies are playing in Denver, I'm not for sure that you can watch, no, even on
Yeah.
the out of town feed, but you can listen to the audio.
Mm,
But there's so many rules and regulations. It looks like they would want people to watch as much as they can, and instead
yeah.
of blocking. But that's another subject for another time. But there is a native app for Apple TV for Major League Baseball, ESPN, and YouTube. There's not one for YouTube TV, which I told you I subscribed to. I did let it drop at the end of the month because I wasn't using it that much, but it's really a good service. And if someone wants some cable channels, I think what hurt them is no Weather Channel, no CNN, but there's a ton of sports and unlimited DVR.
Well, are they supposed to get a native YouTube TV app for the?
Yes, they just got it for Android this past week, and they said
Okay,
iPhone in the coming weeks. So,
excellent.
if anybody's interested in trying that, you get a 14-day free trial. And don't think, well, I'm not in a local area. I live out on a farm in Kentucky, pretty much a little closer to Louisville, Kentucky than Nashville, Tennessee. But I had no idea I'd be in the local area. I entered my zip code. It says, yeah, you're in the Louisville area. But only by a few miles. If I lived like 4 miles further south, I'd be out of it because I'd be in another
Wow.
county. Yeah. So
Well, I wonder if you would have been in the if you had been 4 miles further south, if you would have been in the Nashville.
Nashville. Yeah, it used to would have been, but we're no man's land now because the town in between, you probably have heard maybe of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're getting a lot of local channels. So but that
Hmm.
market's not supported by YouTube TV yet. But when it is, I might consider resubscribing.
Interesting. Yeah, I just, I think the one thing, I've talked to some people who have done cord cutting and they say, well, it's great. We got rid of our $175 a month Comcast cable bill. And, then they start buying all these other
Yeah.
services and pretty soon they're adding up again. So I think that's probably the hardest thing to do is to figure out what am I actually going to watch and find the fewest possible subscriptions that'll actually cover that. I mean, we've looked at everything. In fact, one of these days, I think what I'm going to do is put together a spreadsheet that'll just have, all of the different services and all the different channels that I can get and kind of look at them and say, which ones, complement the others and, which ones do we not, just absolutely don't want and see what happens. I know
Yeah.
AT&T, when I called them up last Friday to get this thing activated
Oh,
because I
what
was
is
running
that?
into,
What is that thing?
well, strangely enough, it kind of looks like, well, I don't know. It's just a simple piece of glass that I'm holding here. No, it's definitely an iPhone 10. But when I called them up, they were trying to get me, of course, on the DirecTV Now app, or DirecTV Now streaming service. And so that was kind of interesting. I looked at it. And it's interesting since DirecTV is owned by AT&T, I'm hoping that maybe they start getting AT&T Sportsnet because then we could watch the Rockies games
Yeah.
locally.
Well, whenever you do get your Apple TV, I encourage you to try the YouTube TV, at least for the free trial, the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And,
Just to
you
give
know,
it a try.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been an interesting week. Did that on Friday. I think the readers probably saw my article out there. I mean, the pickup process was a no-brainer. Went to the store, stood in a line outside the Aspen Grove Apple store in Littleton, Colorado. I had a 10:30 appointment, and I think I got there at like 10:15. So there were a couple people ahead of me in line. very short line, like 3 or 4 people. And while we were waiting to get called in and, you know, stand there with somebody and actually get the phones, there was one of the reps. You know, she came around with an iPhone 10, and she said, I just want to show you how some of these things are a little different. And what she showed are some of the gestures, you know, for instance, going to control panel on other devices now, you know, we're used to swiping up from the bottom and, you know, you kind of get it from there. No, you swipe from the
Right.
upper right. Notifications, you go from upper left, switching between apps, a couple different ways of doing that. So they did that. And then the Apple stores actually have a special app that they can use to show people how Face ID works. Normally, of course, it's just going to be set up for one person. This lets them set it up for, you know, you can walk up there, try it out, and then they can clear out that information. The next person can try it. And I was amazed at 2 things: how fast it is to set up and how unbelievably accurate it is. And one of the things they also showed was, you know, she said, okay, what I want you to do is just kind of not look at the screen, but tap on it, you know, to kind of bring it back up, and don't look at the screen, and then suddenly turn your head and look at the screen. And I did that, and you could watch it unlock. And until I, you know, took my
Right.
eyes and actually put them on the device, you know, nothing happened. It was so surprising to me how fast that was. The other big surprise I'm seeing with this thing is with Face ID, I mean, which is really the killer feature as far as I'm concerned. How many, you know, if you have something that is stored in the keychain, the shared keychain that we
Right.
have in iCloud now, it automatically kind of knows that it's out there, and you're looking at the screen and you see the little Face ID thing come up, and it's unlocked, and you've gone into that website or launched that app. And I'm surprised at how many places that actually works. It really shocked the heck out of me quite a bit. As far as I'm concerned, you know, what's the name of the app? 1Password. I've never really been all that thrilled with the way it works on iOS. They knocked it out of the park with Face ID. They absolutely, it's perfect now because you just bring it up and you're looking at the screen and it unlocks it. You know, there's no more of this, you know, comes up and it's asking for a password, and then you have to tap the little fingerprint icon, and then you have to put your thumb on the thing. No, you're just staring at the screen.
Right.
Boom, it's in. So, so far I am mega impressed with, especially with Face ID. It's it's amazing. Good stuff.
Well, I haven't even gotten to see the phone in person yet, but I did learn. Of course, we're on a regional carrier. We don't get it the first round, but it's not bad. It's going to be available Friday at our local carrier.
Oh, nice.
And so I told Ruby, I said, why don't we just take a little drive up maybe before they open and just check it out. It would be a no-brainer for me. Well, they probably, I doubt they have any in stock. They'll probably have a demo. I could be wrong. But I got to look, and of course, I'm on the lease, you know, program, getting new one each year. If I get the iPhone 10 is 69 cents cheaper per month than the iPhone 7 Plus. I don't know how or why, but I've checked and it is. And so the actual cost of the phone would go down for me of 69 cents.
You can't complain about that.
No, but I'm grandfathered into one of their old unlimiteds. And if I change phones, I have to go to a new plan. It's a minimum of $70 a month increase. And so that's the kicker right there. You know, I'd like to have the new phone, and I get no advantage for the new plan. You know, I have unlimited now and high speed data, and it's just that their newer plans are trying to wean people off the old ones. And so I will lose that plan forever if I change phones. Eventually I'll have to. So I'm going to see, I might see it and fall in love. I've always been a fan of OLEDs. I know it's not as saturated as Samsung's, and I have to admit, I've always loved Samsung's OLEDs. Are just vibrant. It's like a wet watercolor. I love that picture. And I know that iPhone is more subdued, but how did you find the screen? Can you tell the difference?
Yeah, I could definitely tell the difference. The one thing that amazes me about it is, and this is standard for OLED screens, but is how, if you're looking at something that has blacks in it,
Right.
colors and, black borders or something like that, just how black they are. You kind of, if you take a look at, for instance, like an iPhone 6S screen or something like that right now, and you'll notice, the black is actually kind of, well, it's backlit, and you can actually see that
It's a
there's some
little
light there.
gray, a little
Yeah.
bit,
And it just amazes me. The contrast on this thing is just incredible. The camera is phenomenal. I just started taking some photos today with it. I really haven't done that much photo-wise with it until today. And the one review that I put out there about that, it's called the X-Jimmy CC Aurora. It's a little compact projector, wireless projector. I figured, what the heck? I'll try taking the photos for the review with the camera in this. And I took them in portrait mode. Up until now, portrait mode really hasn't done a good job with inanimate objects. And I think it did a pretty decent job. You got that good bokeh in the background, the good, out of focus.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to go in and kind of play with the lighting before I actually took the shot, which is absolutely incredible. And I thought it
Well, I saw you posted to our Slack group some photos of you, the front-facing camera. I guess I want to say you posted a couple of maybe glamour shots of you. I don't know if glamour is the right word or not. Probably not, but they looked really good. I really did like the look.
Well, and yeah, what he's talking about here, actually, let me see if I've got those.
I wouldn't go as far as maybe glamour, but they did look good. Well,
Pippin's down there. I think he's laughing right now. I can hear him yowling. Let me see if I can share these, but I'm going to bring up Slack. But these were, relatively unposed. I took them with the front-facing camera, and I thought, let's just see how, they've talked about how good the portrait mode is looking at you these days. So let me go ahead and bring this up. And Pippin is really being noisy. Again, let's see here. Slack, where are you? Slack. There it is. Okay. So this is our Slack channel. And here are the two pictures. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this one. This is a black and white shot. I went ahead. It's using the portrait mode. It's, a horrible looking subject, but, I just thought, it really did kind of an amazing job. You can see incredible detail on the whiskers here. And then you kind of get that bokeh effect for some of the other areas here. I made it black and white. Also ran this through one of the filters using Luminar 2018 from our friends at MacFun. And it did a surprisingly good job of just clearing up some things and making it look a little bit softer. So that's one of the images. The other one, I was actually in a brightly lit room. And this is one of the images. It's maybe a little dark right around this eye over here, but I didn't retouch this at all. But I like the way that it kind of fills in and surrounds everything. What, in photography, you would normally refer to as a vignette. And it did a kind of a surprising job there. Now, normally what I would do is take an image like this. I'd run it through something either like Luminar or maybe Lightroom or something like that, and try to lighten up the face a little bit more with while keeping the background the same, but still completely untouched, very dramatic, and surprisingly cool. And it just amazes me, what they've been able to do, and in software and hardware, just kind of do some magic there. So, yay!
Well, that is, yeah. I thought they looked really good after I saw them again. Go ahead and retract that glamour part, but they were good photos. You nearly lost your water right there.
Yes, I did. I almost came out my nose here.
Yeah, but I thought they were excellent photos and looked really good. And so the camera does a great job, obviously.
Yeah, it's
but
some of the things, like I said, the gestures being a little different, didn't take me that long to get used to it. And I know I've read some comments by some other pundits where they said, well, now I'm doing the wrong gestures on other devices. And for some reason, I'm not having that problem. I think I realized, I'm not using my iPhone.
Right.
And therefore, I'm not going to do it this way. But I tell you, I can see where this is going to be a very expensive habit, because if they come out with an iPad Plus or iPad Pro, excuse me, that has Touch ID, not Touch ID, Face ID, and does a lot of the same things that this unit does, I'm stuck. I'm going to have to get it, because it's that much of a change in your workflow. It really does speed up little things just so much that it's impressive. And Pippin says, wow. So you hear that? He says, wow.
I do. I was looking, I'll do a quick screen share here. It's not an app or anything, but it'll be about the iPhone. Let's see. Let me just share this with you. You'll see some ads and things. But this is our local carrier, Bluegrass Cellular. And whenever I go in and, let's see, shop the phones, you see them right there. They have the iPhone 10. It's pre-order, but it'll be available Friday. But something that sort of surprised me, of course, they've got the Galaxy Note 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and iPhone 8. Do you notice something already about them?
Sale.
They've already lowered the price from $33 a month to $27 a month, and from $29 to $28.
Well, and the sale price on the iPad Pro 10.5 too. Yeah.
And so I just have a feeling they're not moving as many of these. I mean, they're great phones, but I think people are waiting for this. So, if I want to get this one right here, which is, the one I want to get, probably going to take a little longer to load here. Of course, I'll get the black 256 space gray, $47.88 a month. But what puzzles me is my current iPhone 7 Plus is like $48.33 a month. I actually would go down if it wasn't for the changing. So
I bet you, because did you add Apple Care Plus?
I did not. No, I did not. I just went with the standard. And so there they are in all their glory, so I can pre-order. I had my hand on the button to order and get it shipped to me. It wanted me to upgrade my account. And I just could not pull the trigger. So I told her, I said, well, we'll go Friday, maybe go out and eat breakfast, but I want to go to the store first in case there's a line. She said, I know you're going to buy this phone. I said, I might not. I don't want to throw my account too late. But I tell you what, my wife, of course, you've met Ruby. We brought, virtually. We broadcast from Minnesota 2 weeks ago. You know, she did. I asked her if she wanted to go outside and show around tonight, but it's not quite the same here, just out in the yard. But she told me, and I'll have to. I shouldn't even tell this. It's not a bad thing because it may not come to pass. May want to do it. She said, "Well, why don't you save that $1,000 for the iPhone 10 and put it toward the iMac Pro?"
Ooh.
She's encouraging me to buy that.
You know, actually, she's got you've married a very, very smart woman.
I have,
like
and I'm very thankful. So, but you know, she's actually encouraging me to go ahead and get the iMac Pro when it comes out because my main powerhouse computer that I use for gaming and I've got a Mac Mini, but it won't handle some of the things I want. My most powerful computer is 10 years old this past September, and that's some age. And she said, you know, with the iMac Pro, you're going to have it probably at least 5 years. She said, that's the cost of an iPhone per year, you know, and that's true.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'll need a new iPhone eventually, but I'll say this, she's encouraging me and say, you know, why don't you just put it toward the iMac Pro? So I've been reading some specs and I have to admit, it looks very nice.
Wow.
So we'll talk more about that in December.
I will be really, really impressed if you get that, you know, because you'll have to write a full review because I'm not getting one this year. I've got some other things I have kind of on my I guess you could say equipment list. Yeah. So.
It's probably overkill for what I want, but I'll tell you one of the things that brings it closer is the iMac that I wanted of the current ones was about $3,000 whenever I, you know, did everything with it. And I was going to add memory from OWC, and it was going to be $600, and it brought up to $3,600. So you're pushing $4,000 anyway. And I thought, you know, that iMac Pro isn't that much more. I mean, $1,000 is a lot, but spread out over a few years, it's not. And it's probably overkill for what I do, but I love running virtual machines. Yeah. And I figure that Xeon processor, I run a lot of virtual machines. We'll absolutely plow through those. And, you know, I only really play one game, World of Warcraft, and it'll handle it fine. And, you know, so I'm going to see. It'll be, I'm eager to see it, what happens. And so when it comes out.
Yeah. You know, I one thing I'm going to be curious about is if they surprise everybody and add Face ID to the iMac Pro. I kind of wrote about that, you know, last week where I said, you know, I think they need to add it to every Mac that's got a screen. I'm that impressed with it. And, you know, it kind of, I think Touch ID on the MacBook Pro was, you know, kind of a great idea, good interim ID. I don't find myself using the touch bar all that much. I do use it for some of the controls. There are some apps where it really is quite useful. But it's so funny, you know, after I got the Apple Watch Series 3 and I set up unlock, you know, this Mac with the Apple Watch, it actually does a much faster job of unlocking it than Touch ID does.
So that is interesting. Yeah. So you like the Face ID?
I love Face ID. I mean, what a well done and well implemented thing. I mean, it's just great. Want me to do a quick demo of this?
Oh, please. I'd love it. So I don't have any demos tonight. I have a game or two. I need to do Goat Simulator sometime, but that's, I saw something in the App Store about Goat Simulator today, and we actually bought it one time. So it's pretty neat, but go ahead.
I saw, you know, I saw that same thing and was kind of laughing about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. And probably the first thing you're going to notice is, come on. Sharing is paused. Okay, let's see. There we go. I think it wanted me to wake up the iPhone here. But you can tell, I glanced at it and it already unlocked it here. You get this lock icon up at the top there.
What kind of angle are you finding that it unlocks? Do you have to be square on?
Oddly, no. And now, right now, I'm probably maybe about 25 degrees away, and I know it wouldn't unlock in a case like that, but I kind of glanced at it just to see what was happening at the screen. It unlocked. Now I'm going to swipe up from the bottom of the screen. Oh, I don't know if you could see it there, but it relocked and then unlocked. I just stared at the screen and it did that. Background, I'm using these dynamic wallpapers. They're not too exciting. They're just little blobs that kind of go in and out of focus, kind of bokeh-like. I'm using a green one for my lock screen and this one for the home screen. But as you can see, the aspect ratio of the screen is definitely different. The other thing you're going to notice with the screen sharing here is you don't see the notch. For instance, if we get one of those bubbles up there.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's no notch.
Yeah, you can tell there's no notch there. I'm looking at it on the screen, and it's actually cutting out this section right here. But looks like an iPhone. Big deal. Things are a little bit different up here. No problem. Let's go into 1Password. I think I was talking about how it unlocks using Face ID. So I'm looking at the screen here. I'm going to hit 1Password, and it just unlocked.
Wow,
didn't have
that's
to touch
pretty
it,
impressive.
didn't have to do anything, and it went real fast like that. I've noticed so many apps and even websites, things like that I didn't think I ever set up with Touch ID are now unlocking using Face ID. Now, I just got rid of that screen by swiping up from the bottom. If I swipe from the upper right corner, guess what I get? I get the
control panel.
Yeah, that comes up, works just great. I can now kind of just swipe up to get that out of the way. Upper left corner and swipe down. Here are my notifications. And so we can take a look at these, which works out pretty cool. Swiping down at the bottom. Oops, I went to that's the phone app. I don't know why I went to that, but oh, I'm in the notification screen, excuse me. Anyway, what I was going to try to do here, if I can get out of this, there we go, is get back to my, here we are. I'm on the home screen. I'll just go into an app like Wikipedia, just for the heck of it. And by the way, you can really tell which apps have been redesigned.
We're not getting a screen share ever since you did that phone call.
Oh, you know what it is I think it ended up calling somebody. Not a good thing. Keypad.
While you're working that out, something to entertain our listeners. When you went to the Apple store, the guy actually recognized you from our broadcasts.
Yes, which was kind of, I was not sure whether to be scared or happy about it, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, you can see here I'm kind of just swiping between the different apps here. Works out pretty cool. Every time I get to 1Password, it's going in and doing that. One other thing that you can do is if you swipe up from the bottom and then just hold, you get the, basically the list of open apps here. You can switch very quickly to any one of these.
Now, actually, you saw tonight before we started, you can also swipe up and to the right. You don't even have to hold. Or swipe up and let go real quick. I think will invoke that. You might try that.
Let's try that.
Maybe you have to go to the middle, but apparently not.
Well, if I swipe and just pause for a second, that's when it seems to
okay.
Interesting. But anyway, as you can see, and it's just very responsive, extremely quick.
Now, can you slide on the bar at the bottom just to go between them as well?
Let's check that out here. I'll do that again. No, there in the app switcher, there is no bar at the bottom, but you can just swipe left or right.
Well, I was thinking when you're just on a screen, there's that little bar across the very bottom.
So yeah, when I'm here, yeah. So I can go.
Yeah, okay.
And what this is going to do is the most recent apps that
I see.
been looking at. Yeah, so pretty cool.
That is.
I love being able to just kind of toss that stuff away. You get really used to the new gestures very, very quickly.
And for what it's worth, you can put the software home button on there if you absolutely wanted a home button with accessibility.
One thing I was going to show here, and I need to find an app that I want to get here. Let me see if I can find this. There was an app that I was thinking of loading on here. There we go. Okay. Anyway, you can see I'm in the App Store right now. And I want to show you how the purchase process has changed with this. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to look for this app called Verifly. And this is drone insurance, kind of an interesting setup. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on this. It brings it up. There it is, Verifly. And I'm going to say, I want to get this. Now watch what happens. You notice how this is different? It's telling me to double click the side button to get this. I double click. Face ID authenticates. And it downloads.
That's so pretty amazing, yeah.
That purchase process changes a little. I really, I was entering my password way too many times, and I no longer need to do that. So
well, let me ask, is there anything about the phone that you don't particularly care for that you miss from the standard iPhone?
Well, about the only thing that I'm finding to be, I guess you could say, an issue right now. What was it? There was something earlier today that was just, it was kind of bothering me. And I don't even remember it. So
well, it probably wasn't too bad then. So
I know what it is. I have a bunch of health apps. If you look in here, I've got, HealthMate, which is from Nokia, Health, the Streaks app, cardio, activity, a bunch of these other things. And I don't know if it was the update to iOS 11.1 that caused the problems, or going to this new phone, but they're not speaking to each other anymore. That's a problem, because usually, with my previous phone, HealthMate, when I weigh myself in the morning, it would capture my weight and body mass index. And it would pass that over to the health app, and activity would also come up and say, Streaks would come up and say, good, you got a streak going here for 500 and some odd days where you've weighed yourself every day. Good job. Well, now I have to go in and manually do that because doing it. Like I said, it may just be, something that didn't get updated, or I don't know. But hopefully it'll get fixed, because that's a little annoying. But other than that, love this phone. Really, really love it.
Well, the aspect ratio is different, and it's obviously taller or more narrow now than it was, or the width didn't. So
it works really nice in 16 by 9 video. Let's see if I can find something that's.
Are you finding the notch distracting, or just you don't even pay attention?
Most apps are really working around it quite well. So, I really haven't found it that distracting. Apps that haven't been rewritten for the iPhone 10 yet, and I got to admit, I had 28 updates today.
Wow.
And most of them, it said, providing compatibility with the iPhone 10. But anyway, most of these things I'm not finding to be a problem. Where I do see a little bit of an issue, I guess you can say, is with the older apps, because they're still showing, you know, they cut off. Well, let me see if I can find one here. And what I'm talking about are apps that weren't written for this, like Lapsit here. You can tell it stops right here. I don't know if you can see the cursor move.
Yeah.
And then it stops right about here.
Well, I can see two different colors of black, you know.
Yeah. And so it's not taking full advantage of this. And, you know, it's really, you know, kind of just a lazy developer who hasn't updated things yet. So, yeah, I think it's just going to take some of these folks a little while to get to it. But once they do, that little annoyance will be gone, and they'll be taking advantage of that extra real estate.
So the phone's obviously fast. It has a 6-core processor.
Yeah.
Instead of quad core.
Yeah, battery life has been really good. Really, really good. There were some days where you know, if I made a couple of phone calls, took some pictures, went out for a walk, you know, played a bunch of games, did things like that on my iPhone, I would get maybe down to 43%. I think the lowest this has gotten so far is maybe about 65.
That's pretty impressive. So, yeah.
So thumbs up on that. Like I said, I could, you know, I don't know how Tim Cook says it. We couldn't be more pleased and happy about this.
Well, so, a lot of people in the various forums and some YouTube videos I watch, OLED, two of their natural negatives are screen burning. And if you leave a bright image at same place, same time, and Apple's already said that will happen, possibly so. And also, if you view off angle, a lot of people are reporting a blue tint, which is normal because of blue. Can you see that when you turn it?
I really haven't noticed it. The one thing I really like is I'm trying to remember what they call it, but it's like True Color.
True Tone display, I think.
Yeah. Basically, what they're doing is looking at the ambient light around. For instance, right now I've got a very cool light in front of me, LED light. And, you know, if I was looking at, for instance, myself using the camera with that, it would adjust things so that this back here looked much whiter than it does right now, where it has a little bit of a blue tinge. And it just, I don't know, it just looks like a piece of paper, you know, when you see it. It's really, regardless of the lighting, it just seems to be very natural. You know, whites seem white. They don't seem slightly orangish or slightly bluish. So
that sounds like a 70s detergent commercial there almost.
Yeah. Blue, blues.
Yeah.
Yellow, yellows.
Well, you know, like I said, I've always been a fan of the deeper saturation of the OLEDs, and that's one of the things I was hoping Apple would go to. So no, you can't see that on videos. You've got to see that in person. So that's going to be a quest maybe on Friday to go out and just see if I can see and hold. If they don't have any for sale, I hope they have a demo model.
Well, the one thing I was really pleased with, and this was before I even got my hands on mine, you know, when I was standing outside the store, and that lady came by and she says, "Here, you want to give it a try?" And so I was doing all this stuff, and I suddenly realized that I was in very bright sunlight conditions. It was a clear day in Colorado, unlike today, but it was a very, very clear day, very bright, and I had absolutely no issues reading the screen. And it was funny because I ended up instinctively, you know, I'm holding the iPhone 10 in this hand. I pulled out my iPhone 7 Plus at the same time and brought up something on the screen. I'm looking at them side by side. Amazing how much of a difference there is in readability in bright sunlight. So another
Yeah, they're
big
supposed to be a
change.
lot better in bright sunlight, so that'll be interesting to see. So, well, it sounds like you've had a good experience with it, and the things I'm reading, they're in a lot more in stock than you realize. I think they've produced more and had more, and so.
Yeah, and they're selling really, really well. I think you saw the one news item that was going around today where they basically said that in 20 major U.S. cities, including Denver, they were pretty well sold out. But I've got a funny feeling that the pipeline from China is, fully up and running now, and they're probably putting out as many of these as they can. And unlike the Google Pixel 2, they actually do come with an operating system installed
Yeah,
on them.
yeah. I saw that a few people got their phones, powered it up, and there was no operating system on it.
Yeah,
And
that
so,
that would that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
yeah. And even if you were tech savvy, there was no way to load it. You couldn't download and do it, so you had to have a replacement. So I don't know. I had to admit, part of my reason for waiting is I do hate to reset my contract needlessly, but it's a little late in the cycle. And if I skip this time, and I've skipped before, next September, if they have the phones ready early, I'll be able to get one. I won't have to wait till late,
Yeah.
till down in November. If I get
Yeah.
it now, I have to wait till November because I have a feeling next year's. It's I don't even want to look ahead necessarily, but I think it'll probably be an octa-core, and
Yeah.
you know, who knows? They may eventually do away with the notch, be able to have that under the screen. If they ever go micro LED, you can actually, there's enough space to put a lot of things under the screen.
Wow.
Probably not
Yeah,
that, but
and that's one of the directions they keep talking about is that they're looking at organic LED, OLED right now is almost like a temporary step until they can get their vendors cranking out the type of micro LED displays that
right.
they want. So
And so that's part of me that's wanting to wait. I'd like to have it. Who knows? I might fall in love when I'll see it. I told my wife, I told Ruby, I said, in a way, I actually hope I go to the store and they say, we don't have any. Thank you. I won't have to make the choice. But
yeah, and then when that iMac Pro comes out next month.
well, the iPhone if you pay the full cost, that's 20% of that iMac Pro.
Yes, it is.
So I really am thankful because if I can use the word need, I sort of need a new computer because 10 years on my most powerful computer, that's quite a bit of age. And so
That's ancient.
it is,
You
you
know,
talk
it's
about things in dog years, computer years, that's gone, but it still works. But I'll be able to consolidate and do a lot more things and a lot of virtual machines. And I'm sure it would work well if I ever want to do Windows boot camp, for some reason, just flat out boot up into Windows. Though I've never done boot camp, I run virtual machines for Windows. So I'll let you know that ahead of time that the iMac Pro is a real possibility here. So we'll see.
Well, and like I said, somebody's got to write a review of one of
Yeah,
those.
might as well review it. The color is stunning, but it starts out, at 8 cores and comes standard with 32 gig. And so
Yeah.
we'll see. It is a little pricey, but me like you, computers are my bread and butter. I do everything
Yeah.
on it. So
Yeah, it's well, in fact, it's interesting because of a class that I took yesterday, I'm probably going to start using some of the Adobe, Creative Cloud apps a little bit more than I have in the past. I've been a Adobe CC subscriber since about April and really haven't done all that much with it. And fortunately, I learned some, shall we say, hints and tips yesterday that I was, it was one of those things where I just went, why haven't I been using this? So,
right. So
and I take a lot, most of my photographs in RAW. It does a really good job with RAW format photographs. So, maybe one of these years I'll actually need a powerful machine like that.
yeah, probably you deserve it, and so, but
Not really.
Well, I
Too damn
really
many
am.
toys.
I really am giving it a thought concerning it, and that's one of the reasons. If I skip the iPhone, I'll feel a lot better about the iMac Pro. And so
Yeah.
and before we close, because we are getting close to an hour, but the last time we had a broadcast was 2 weeks ago. If anybody didn't watch or go back and look, I mentioned my wife a lot. You'll see her on our previous broadcast. So we had a three-way broadcast. She and I were covering the JAMF National Users Conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we broadcast live from there. We wrote quite a few articles, and the CEO of the company retweeted some of our articles. And so,
Yeah. And I must thank them because they actually ended up sponsoring us for a week. And that sponsorship, we don't charge a lot for our sponsorship. So if you happen to be a small company out there, definitely look into sponsoring us for a week. It doesn't cost that much. It's $200, and you do get a lot of coverage there. And JAMF absolutely did that, which was very cool.
well, I'd
And
like to feel that our
thank you.
visit up there and the articles we wrote put us on their radar,
Yeah.
because the CEO obviously read the articles because he retweeted and he made some comment about them, and just he said, thanks, Apple World Day. And one comment said, why? He may have misinterpreted, of course, not really. What my last article I wrote was that, and I think my last comment was that was one of the tech highlights of my life. I said, when I left, I actually felt empty. And he tweeted that and said, wow. But what he didn't know, I felt empty because of lack of food. They fed us nonstop. We had food all week long from the time you got up to the time you went to bed. There was food everywhere, but actually I meant empty inside, more of a mental type. I did. We had such a good time, such nice people, great software. It was one of those events I was sorry to see it end. And
Well, I
that's really,
ran into one of my, but basically an old friend and probably one of the best Mac or Apple consultants in the Denver area, Weldon Dodd, yesterday. We were at Big Bill's New York Pizza in
yeah.
Centennial, Colorado, having our normal Monday night pizza. And in walks Weldon, and he was picking up a couple of pies to bring home. And sure enough, he's wearing a JAMF
Really?
shirt.
That's
And I
neat.
said, "Were you at JNOC last week?" And he says, "Yes, I was." And I said, "Did you run into, Ruby and Marty?" And he said, "No, yeah." So
I'm
you
sure I
guys must
saw
have
him
been
on
on
the
different
floor or
tracks or
something,
something.
yeah, because I don't know
Yeah,
him, but that's neat. I will say this: the people that got Apple World to Go Day is actually a PR firm out of San Francisco that got all the media coverage. And I know Apple World Today was there as well as 9 to 5 Mac. And I met some writers
yeah,
that I've read a lot of their writings. We sit on a media row, got to talk to them. But the PR firm emailed me afterwards, said, I'm sure we'll see you, be working with you next year. And they said, probably before then, we'll be talking to you. So I'm hoping there's some other events they want Apple World to cover, that PR will,
good.
because I think they were really pleased with the coverage, the articles we wrote. So I'm hoping JAMP or some other Mac related thing's going to have something in maybe Sydney, Australia or somewhere and say, we all cover it. But
Yeah, I
they
tell you
dropped
that.
some hints that we'll be back next year and maybe cover some stuff before then. They gave no details, but there were some, we'll talk to
That's
you
cool.
before then. So
And that's, if you happen to be a company that's holding a conference and you need some press coverage, we're your guys.
we'll write it up and give you best writing we can. And everything was from the heart. We really enjoyed it. I think I told you our flight out. I haven't flown much. I had not flown for 17 years. I've been
Good
stuck to the
grief.
earth. Yeah. Our flight going out was really, really rough. So much so they couldn't serve any kind of refreshment on the plane or anything. They couldn't get the drink carts out. Everybody had to stay buckled up. I didn't think I was going to make it. I know I said last week or 2 weeks ago, I told my wife, I said, you drive back to Kentucky, get the car, come to Minnesota and get me. I didn't, but the flight back was super smooth. And It was good though. So, but we had a great time representing Apple World Day, and hopefully by next year I'll have something that says Apple World Today on it, a hoodie or something.
We'll have to get some new shirts made.
Yeah, I need to wear something that says Apple World Today on it. Of course, I had their tag that did. So,
well, these were when we had these made. This has got a huge logo on the back, and at the time I was thinking we really need to get the logo out there. And I think what we'll do is something that's a bit more subtle, and maybe just a little logo in one corner or something like that, about yay big. And if anybody's watching this and you say, I'd like a logo shirt from Apple World Today, or a hat or something like that, leave us a comment on YouTube or on the site, and we'll use that as impetus to get out and actually get some made. So again, are you ready to call it a night there, dude?
Well, I think so. I'm looking, we're pretty much exactly an hour, so that's pretty good.
Woohoo. We're getting good at this, I guess.
Yeah. And a little bit ahead of time. We might not broadcast every week during the holidays. A lot of things going on. I think you're taking a trip to warmer climes, aren't you?
Yeah, I sure am. I'll probably be gone for a week at some point there, but next week we may actually have a Dennis Sellers.
We've had 27 broadcasts, and I'm not for sure how many he's made. And so that's a real Apple rumor.
Man.
Yeah, he is. But hopefully so. But I'll be here next week, barring death, because I still made it through pneumonia a couple of weeks and made it on. So I don't like to miss. I like reliability. I was that way in school. I only missed 3 days in school, and it was first grade for chicken pox.
Oh, man. I
told my mother, I said, I am going. And she wouldn't let me. So I only missed 3 days the first year, never again. So,
oh, man. That's crazy. I mean, excuse me. Now I'm coughing. I was going to say, when I was growing up, I was sick all the time. I was like one of those people who at least once or twice a year I would get strep throat. And, I haven't, knock on wood here, haven't had it in maybe 35 years now.
Wow.
But I think what I did is I had strep throat and, every form of it during my childhood. It's like, I should be immune to them all by now.
But yeah, so this time next week, I'll let you know if I still have an iPhone 7 or a 10. And if I even got to hold one. I just want to hold it. And so see
Sounds
the
good.
OLED. So
yeah, and I think you'll. I just find it so interesting that once again you've got that big screen, but it fits in your hand a little bit better.
That's what I was going to say. It's actually a bigger screen, but a smaller phone. Some engineering feat there. So
yeah, and my hands aren't real big, and I like the big format, the big screens, and but this really is very comfortable to hold. So good stuff. Anyway, I guess we'll call it a night here. I want to thank everybody for watching AWT TV episode 27. We'll be back next Tuesday night, 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern time, and you can figure out the rest of the times there. What else? Oh, yeah. If you happen to watch this and you like it, definitely be sure to do one of those thumbs up things on YouTube. Do a like, and also subscribe to the channel so you get notification of any of our live shows that are coming on, or occasionally we'll throw out a video how-to or a review of something, and you'll be able to find out about that before anybody else. So thanks for watching. Anything for you or from you, Mr. Marty?
I think that's it. See everybody next week.
Have a great one, everybody. And as they say, just keep yourself safe out there. We'll see ya soon.